Existent, mutually inclusive with it. How many? Four. What are they? Object, ascertainable object, noble object, phenomenon, established space. What is the definition of established space? What's the definition of phenomenon? What's the definition of noble object? What are the divisions of established space? What are the two divisions of the first two divisions of phenomenon? What are the two divisions of existence? Functional thing and non-thing. What's the definition of non-thing? That which is devoid of the capacity to function. What are the phenomena mutually inclusive with it? Permanent, unproduced, unconditioned. What are the four opposites of these four? Opposites. There's four. What are the opposite four? Product. So to this list, can you add cause and effect? You could. So now what are the six ways of six phenomena mutually inclusive with functional thing? Impermanent, cause, effect, functional thing, product, conditioned phenomena. Conditioned phenomena, yeah? What's the definition of cause? What's the definition of effect? What are the divisions of cause in terms of time? What is the definition of indirect? Indirect cause. Indirect cause. Indirectly produces its effect. Yeah? What are the divisions of causes in terms of how they produce their effect? Substantial cause and? Okay, what's the definition of substantial cause? Primary producer of its own substantial effect within its own continuum. What's the definition of cooperative condition? Outside of its own substantial continuum. What are the divisions of, therefore, functional thing and cause? If something is a cause, it is divided into the other way, the functional thing way, which is, what are the three divisions of functional thing? Material phenomena, consciousness, non-associated composition, formative factors. What's the definition of non-associated formative factors? What's the definition of material phenomena? That which is capable of material. What's the definition of consciousness? Take that which is clear and knowing. It follows it as the definition of cognition, of consciousness. Follows it as not the definition of consciousness because it doesn't fulfill the 8 modes of pervasion with consciousness. What are the 8 modes of pervasion with consciousness? 2 of being, 2 of not being, 2 of existing. So what are the 2 modes of being between consciousness and that which is clear and knowing? The 2 modes of being are, if it is consciousness, it follows it is that which is clear and knowing, and if it is that which is clear and knowing, it follows it is necessarily consciousness. What are the 2 modes of existing? What are the 2 modes of not being between consciousness and that which is clear and knowing? If it is not consciousness, it follows it is necessarily not clear and knowing. If it is not clear and knowing, it follows it is necessarily not. What is the 2 of not existing between consciousness and that which is clear and knowing? If consciousness does not exist, it follows necessarily that which is clear and knowing does not exist. If that which is clear and knowing does not exist, it follows necessarily consciousness does not exist. Take consciousness, it follows, it fulfills the definition of take clear and knowing, it follows, it fulfills the definition of consciousness. It follows, it is, what is the definition of definition? Take that which possesses the three properties of a referent existent. It follows it is the definition of definition. Except, what is the definition of consciousness? No. No. That which possesses the three properties of, huh? Referent existent of consciousness, not consciousness which is its referent existent. It is the referent existent. The definition is a referent existent. It's not consciousness that is the referent. Yeah? Okay? What is the definition of definiendum? Of imputed existent. What is the definition of definiendum of that which is clear and knowing? Of that which is clear and knowing. Exactly. Okay, fine. Great. What are the three properties of an imputed existent? Three properties. What are the three properties of an imputed existent? Imputed existent. It is an object defined. It is and three. It is only the definiendum of that definition, not of another one. And therefore the three of a referent existent. It is a definition. It is established on a base. It only defines that definiendum and nothing else. Okay, fine. What are the divisions of material phenomena? What is the definition of internal material form? What is the definition of outer material phenomena? What are the divisions of inner material phenomena? Eye sense form, ear sense form, then nose, tongue, etc., etc. What's the definition of eye sense form? Faculty, sorry. That, say it again, that in clear internal organ that acts as its specific dominant condition of eye consciousness, which is its effect. Okay? It follows that this is then how you extend it to all the other ones, eye, sense form, etc., etc. Okay. What are the divisions of external material form? Visual form, sound, smell, taste, tactility base. What are the divisions of tactility base? Primary elements and that which is derived from the elements. What are the divisions of primary elements? Earth, water, fire, air. The divisions of secondary, those derived. How many? What are they? Smoothness, roughness, lightness, hold. What is the definition of taste? Object perceived by tongue contact. What are the divisions of taste? Sweet, sour, salty, pungent, astringent, bitter. What is the definition of visible form? Object perceived by eye consciousness. Take visible form, it follows it has divisions. What are the divisions of visible form? Color and shape. Take color, it follows it has divisions. What are the divisions of color? Primary color, secondary color. Take secondary color, it follows it has divisions. What are the divisions of secondary color? Kayla, this is yours. What are the divisions? Okay, done. What are the, you want to do it, Olga? Divisions of secondary color? Yeah. And smoke. There you go. Yeah? Okay? We're all okay so far? I'm not doing the other little ones. Do you want to do them? Does it make you feel happy? Then we are doing them. If you said no, that means we're doing them. What is this definition of smell? What are the divisions of smell? What are the divisions of pleasant smell? What are the divisions of unpleasant smell? What are the divisions of unpleasant smell? Uniform and not uniform. What's left? Sound? Sound? What is the definition of sound? Take object perceived by ear consciousness. It follows it is definition of sound. It follows sound has divisions. What are the divisions? Take a lute. It follows it is sound. It's the one that's like this, I think, right? Like they show in the movies and all the carnivals with the jesters going around with lutes. That, yeah. Take a lute. It follows it is sound. Take a lute. It follows it is that an object perceived by ear consciousness. Take a lute. It follows it is an object, a sound that is derived from the elements not conjoined with consciousness. What is except? It follows it is it is a sound derived from the elements conjoined with with consciousness. It follows it is not conjoined or it is conjoined. It follows it is sound derived from the elements conjoined with consciousness. Why? It follows it is sound conjoined, arisen from the elements not conjoined with consciousness. It follows, okay, what is the meaning of sound arisen from the elements conjoined with consciousness? Now you give me a meaning. If it is pleasant to hear and you can understand the meaning, it follows it is sound arisen from the elements conjoined with consciousness. Except, take a recording of class. It follows it is sound arisen from the elements conjoined with consciousness. Except, take sound of a television. It follows it is an example of sound arisen from the elements conjoined with consciousness. It follows if it is sound not arisen conjoined with consciousness. If it is sound with meaning, it follows it is necessarily not arisen conjoined with consciousness. Except, take sound arisen from the elements not conjoined with consciousness. It follows it doesn't have four divisions. What are the four divisions of sound arisen from the elements not conjoined with consciousness? What? It follows it has four divisions? What are the four divisions? That's two. Take pleasant with meaning. It follows it is a division of sound arisen from the elements not conjoined with consciousness. It follows sound arisen from the elements not conjoined with consciousness can be divided into pleasant with meaning, without meaning, unpleasant. Okay, it follows there is a sound that is pleasant with meaning that is arisen from the elements not conjoined with consciousness. Because it is one of the divisions of sound arisen from the elements not conjoined with consciousness. It follows it's not one of the four divisions of sound arisen from the elements not conjoined with consciousness. It follows it doesn't have four divisions. It follows it does have four divisions. It follows it has four divisions. It follows one of those divisions is pleasant sound with meaning. It follows that there is a pleasant sound with meaning that is arisen not conjoined with consciousness. Because it is a division. No, the loop. So you have to get out of the loop now. Don't get stuck in the loop. What is it? The text says, no? The text says, you don't agree. So is there no such thing as pleasant sound with... So if it is sound arisen from the elements conjoined, not conjoined with consciousness, it follows it cannot have meaning? The way you're thinking about it, yes, no? right? But then why does it give 4 divisions? That's fine. But that's an example of conjoined with consciousness. Someone is singing it. Okay, this playing it. Wait. What is the meaning of sound with meaning? First, what does with meaning mean? If it is sound that has meaning, it follows it has to arise conjoined with consciousness. Sa, what is the meaning of sound that possesses meaning? It follows that there has to be a linguistic reference. Take the sound of a sitar. It follows it is not a sound with meaning because it doesn't have linguistic reference. The role reversal happens in the afternoon. Right now, answer. Take sound with meaning. It follows it has to have the meaning of a sound that has a meaning is it has to have a linguistic reference. Why, for example? Chirping? Fine, so it follows if it is sound, it has to be sound with meaning. For example, take the sound of a wall getting slapped. It follows. Take the sound of a wall getting slapped. It follows it is a sound that has meaning. It follows it is a sound that has meaning because somebody without seeing it can understand that a wall is getting slapped. No whys, it's a reason, it's a syllogism. Take a sound of a wall getting slapped. It follows it is a sound with meaning. Why? It follows it is a sound with meaning because someone can understand by hearing it that a wall is getting slapped. Huh? No established, no pervasion. Which one? What no pervasion? No, the syllogism is take the sound of a wall getting slapped. It follows it is a sound with meaning because through it someone can understand that the wall is getting slapped. Because by hearing it, someone can hear that a wall is getting slapped. That's not enough. So if someone can hear it and understand that a wall is getting slapped, it doesn't follow it has to be a sound with meaning. Except if someone can hear a bird and understand that it is a bird chirping, it doesn't follow it has to be a sound with meaning. I'm asking, let's see. Yeah, I agree. If someone hears the sound of a bird chirping and can understand that the bird is chirping, it follows the chirping of a bird has to be a sound with meaning. Yeah, so then same thing with a slapped wall. Take a wall getting slapped. It follows that you can hear it and know that a wall is getting slapped. So it conveys some meaning to you. You have 4 responses. It's very essentialized. Your options are very limited. It follows that you can understand that a wall is getting slapped when you hear it. Can you? It's fine. The sound of a table getting slapped. Can you understand that a table is getting slapped?
If you put it on a show and they were like, guess this sound, and they were like, you might not know. Like, you would notice it was a slap.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. So then what is it? What is it for a sound to have meaning? What does that mean? Linguistic referent, right? So therefore take the music of a guitar, it follows it is not a sound that has meaning. Except, if it is a sound that is arisen conjoined with consciousness, no, if it is a sound that possesses meaning, it follows it necessarily arises from the elements conjoined with consciousness. For example, what? Drum? What's a dharma drum? Oh wow. I thought you meant like that thing outside, the gong. Take a television, it follows it as a sound arisen from the elements not conjoined with consciousness. What is the meaning of conjoined with consciousness? It arises from the continuum of a person. So take the sound of an echo. It follows it as a sound that is arisen from the elements not conjoined with consciousness. An echo. It follows it as arisen not conjoined with consciousness. It follows it is arisen conjoined with consciousness. What was the meaning of conjoined with consciousness again? Take an echo. It follows it doesn't arise from the continuum of a person. Take an echo, it follows it doesn't arise. It doesn't arise from the continuum of a person. Take the person who screams for the echo, it follows the person is not a cause of the echo. It follows the person is a cause of the echo. It follows the echo arises from the person. It follows the person produces the echo. It follows the person is not a cause of the echo. It follows the person is a cause of the echo. It follows a person fulfills the definition of a cause of the echo. What is the definition of cause of echo? Take a person, it follows they produce the echo. Right? It follows it arises from the person. It follows it is conjoined with consciousness. Tsa. Take an echo, it follows it is a sound arisen from the elements conjoined with consciousness. Take a television sound, it follows it is a sound of, it is a sound with meaning arisen conjoined with consciousness. Because it is arisen from a person. What I'm the answer. Take the sound of a television, right? Like you're listening to someone say something, okay? It follows that arises from a person. It follows it doesn't arise from a person. It follows those actors don't need to speak. Why do we have all of these? Right? It follows that it arises from a person. It follows it is conjoined with consciousness because it arises from a person. It follows it arises from a person because the person who spoke that sound which got recorded and then you hear is the cause of that sound. It follows they're not a cause of that sound. They are, it follows they are a cause of that sound. It follows they're a cause of that sound. It follows it arises from them. It follows it is arisen. It follows it is produced. It follows it is produced by its cause. It follows the person is the cause. It follows it is produced by the person. It follows it is arisen from the person because it is produced by the person. Take the sound of someone speaking in a television. It follows it is arisen from the person. It follows it is produced by the person. It follows the person is not the cause. It follows it is a cause because it is an indirect cause. It follows it is a cause. It follows the sound is arisen from the person because the person produces the sound. Not except, it's a reason. It's a reason. Take the sound in a television. It follows it is arisen from a person because it is produced by a person. What no provision?
Just because it's produced by a person.
Doesn't mean it's arisen from a person?
Doesn't mean that the sound, the television.
No, that's the subject, predicate. There's no subject in a pervasion. Take the sound of someone speaking in a television. It follows it is a sound arisen from a person because it is a sound produced by a person. Reason not established. It follows it is not produced by a person. It follows it is produced by a person because the person is the cause of that sound. Reason not established. It follows the person is not a cause of that sound. It follows the actor is not the cause of that sound. It follows without the actor speaking, you'll be able to hear what they're saying in the TV. No, it follows it is a cause. Not of a television, of the sound you hear in a television. When you watch Bold and the Beautiful, did someone have to speak like 35 years ago? No? They had to. So take those people who spoke 35 years ago in Bold and the Beautiful. It follows that the sound of what you're hearing today when you're watching reruns of Bold and the Beautiful. Are they not the cause? They're not the cause? They're not the cause? They're not the cause? So when you're speaking to someone in the States, it follows your voice here is not the cause of what they hear. One sec. When you speak to someone and you do an international call, you speaking here is the cause of what they hear in their phone? It's not a cause, no? So they can pick up the phone and without Abhishek speaking in it, they'll be like, ha, nice Abhishek, good. Everything's well, and you're like sleeping. Is that possible? One sec, is it possible? Just answer, wait. Not, right? It follows that you have to produce, someone has to produce the sound they're hearing. Follows the sound they're hearing is a product. Follows it's arisen. Follows it's an effect. Follows it has a cause. What's the cause? Who's producing it? You are, no? So it follows that you are the cause of that sound. It follows that sound is arisen from you. It follows it is a sound conjoined with consciousness. In the phone. The person is in the States hearing you on the phone. You remember that experiment we did in school? I don't know if you used to do it. You take a cup, you put a rope in it, and then someone stands really far away and they have another cup. The sound that you hear in the cup, is it sound that is arisen from the elements conjoined with consciousness or not conjoined with consciousness? That is conjoined. Very nice. And echoes, those are also conjoined, right? Right. Now if the rope is really long and it goes from here to Delhi, is it still conjoined with consciousness? What about if it reaches Sri Lanka? Still? Australia? The moon as well? Right. Okay, fine. What about when instead of sending it to Sri Lanka, I speak in my phone and then they hear it? Is that also conjoined with consciousness? No. Why?
I can just speak freely. I can say the reason.
Yeah, you can. I'm asking, give me a reason. So take the sound, someone in a phone.
The sound goes from the person
Mm-hmm.
to ones and zeros,
Uh-huh.
to a satellite, back down,
Uh-huh.
goes in the phone,
Uh-huh.
transforms from ones and zeros into,
Uh-huh.
weaker vibrations, and then
So because in between it is no longer sound, it is broken in between to be sound, that's why it's no longer the cause? Is that what it is? One sec. Is that what it is? In between, it stops being sound for a while and then it turns to be sound again? One sec. Is that it? Take the color of that pillow. It follows it is not a cause of your eye consciousness seeing the color of the pillow? Say yes. Please say yes. Just say it. Yes or no. Take the color on that pillow. It follows it is not the cause of the color you see.
you want me to say yes?
I want you to say whatever you think. It follows it is not a cause of what you see because it doesn't stay as a color the whole time from when it is there and you perceive it. It breaks in between being a color. It does because it's a wave from the I'm not seeing pillow color, right? So then it's not a pillow color in that moment. In this bit in between you and the pillow, it's not a color anymore because it's not an object perceived by an eye consciousness.
Here I feel like this is a thing where I hold one thing, but
No, so this is
know we're not on the same page.
that's fine. I'm trying to gauge what you're thinking by giving you various examples. So even if I don't get exactly what you're saying, I'll have an understanding of what the defendant says, and I'm going to try and use analogies to try and get closer. As we get closer, either I'll get it right, or I won't get it right, and you'll tell me there's a difference between this and sound at each step. In that way, you're continuously refining your understanding. So that's totally fine. But you said, if I speak in the phone and there's a rope that goes all the way to the moon, the person who hears it on the moon is still hearing sound. And that is sound produced by me, conjoined with consciousness. But if I speak to someone on the moon, right, like hello Houston, that one, that's no longer sound conjoined with consciousness, because in between it stopped being sound. So when you see this color, is there a phase where light reflects off the color, something transforms into a wave, and that wave comes and then you see color in your eyes? Is that how it works?
I accept.
So is there a phase between the cause, which is a color, and your perception of a color, which is the effect, where it's not a color in between? Is there a moment like that?
No.
Between the cause and the effect? It follows it doesn't require the waves to travel from there to your eyes?
Why?
It does require the waves to travel.
I accept.
It follows when there are waves, they're not color.
Why?
It follows when there are waves, they're color. It follows if you see that wave, you see color.
I accept.
Yeah?
I accept.
It follows that in this middle phase, when it's traveling here, it's color.
I accept.
It follows in this middle wave, it's color.
I accept.
It follows in this middle phase, it's an object perceived by eye consciousness.
I accept.
Who's eye consciousness? We're all looking, we're not seeing it.
What do I say?
Don't say Buddhas.
That's not. I would have to say why. That's not really a subject predicate.
One sec. Take this wave in this phase. It follows it is not an object perceived by eye consciousness.
Why?
It follows it is not an object perceived by eye consciousness because none of us can see it.
No privation.
Whose eye consciousness?
It doesn't have to be perceived by eye consciousness.
It follows it is not an object perceived by eye consciousness.
I mean, okay, because here we're
One
following.
sec. Four.
Okay.
Just stay with it. We're still having fun. We really don't care very much. Is there an object perceived by eye consciousness?
I accept.
Whose? I'm not seeing it. When are you seeing it? No one's seeing it.
It doesn't have to be perceived by eye consciousness.
For it to be an object perceived by eye consciousness, it follows that it can never ever be perceived by eye consciousness and still be an object perceived by eye
I
consciousness.
accept.
Take sound, it follows it is an object perceived by eye consciousness.
Why?
Why not?
Because.
It doesn't need to be perceived by eye consciousness ever.
Because it's visual form.
No,
I mean,
sound.
sorry, because it's.
So why can't something that is not perceived by eye consciousness ever satisfy the condition of being visual form? If it's not predicated by being perceivable by any eye consciousness ever,
It is perceivable.
it is perceivable by an eye consciousness?
I accept.
Whose? What kind of person? What do you
Me.
need? Physics.
Me.
Instruments.
No, I don't want to go with that.
Okay.
I can perceive it.
You're seeing like a pillow the whole time.
It is
Color, pillows,
Those-
pillows, color. It's very long.
those color
PC,
waves
PC.
in between. I could see them. They're perceivable.
They're perceivable
Yes.
as colors in that phase.
Yes.
It's a color.
I accept.
It follows that at that point that wave is a color.
I accept.
Waves are colors.
I accept.
You accept the waves are colors. It follows that those waves are perceived by eye consciousness as is it subtle color or is it just manifest gross color?
If I no, I only can say 4 answers.
No, is it gross color or subtle color?
Gross color.
Gross color which is not perceivable by gross eye consciousness? It's gross color but it's not perceivable by
Why?
ordinary eye consciousness?
Why?
It's perceivable by ordinary
I
eye
accept.
What is the meaning of gross matter?
It doesn't have to be received by the mental consciousness alone.
No, gross matter. Gross visual form.
Yeah, it doesn't
Do you remember
have
there's
to be.
mental, what was it, mental form? Mental object? Mental object form, that is not perceivable by eye consciousness, by the sense powers, right? By the sense
It
consciousness.
can be perceived by the sense powers.
So what makes something gross matter, like gross visible form versus subtle visible form?
It is able to be perceived.
If it is able to be
By
perceived
sense
by
consciousness.
sense consciousness, it follows it is gross matter, gross visible form.
I accept.
Take the smallest atoms, it follows the gross visible form.
Why?
It follows the subtle visible form.
I accept.
Why are they subtle?
Because they're only able to be perceived by mental consciousness.
It follows the not visible form
Why?
because they're not
I mean,
object of
I
eye
accept,
consciousness.
I
I'm
accept.
talking about subtle particles that are still matter, visible form. Not the subtlest ones only by the mind. Like atoms.
You're talking about, what, you're saying atoms are perceivable
When you
by eye
separate
consciousness?
gross matter from subtle matter, remember it said subtle smoke? What was that one is using as an example of?
The form of, are you talking about the
Oh
five
no,
types
sorry.
of mental
No,
object
one
form?
sec. I did it online in class yesterday. I'm so sorry. Everything just merged for a second. Let it go. Doesn't matter, okay? Gross matter, subtle matter, what defines it, what is conjoined with consciousness, what is not conjoined with consciousness. If you want, you can start to ask that. That's the point over here, okay? Because you said it is arisen conjoined with consciousness. What does that mean? Because there's many terms in the text that are not clear, right? So if you say it's pleasant, what does pleasant mean? Is pleasant mean someone likes it? If it means someone likes it, then pleasant and unpleasant is a little unclear, right? So when you have things that are not there in the text, you're allowed to ask, that don't have a definition. So what is the meaning of sound arisen from the elements conjoined with consciousness? What do you mean? Stuff like that.
I had written down being conjoined or not conjoined. The definition was whether that sound is conjoined with the physical sense faculties.
That's what you've got written down. That's what it says in the text.
That was being conjoined with a sense faculty. The mind is harmed or benefited when that physical sense faculty is harmed or benefited.
So take Kayla slapping a wall. It follows it is conjoined with consciousness. Yeah. No, so I remember harm and benefit just said over here, there was an explanation of harm and benefit. It induces change, it brings a transformation, that's what it said, yeah. Yeah, but then everything is conjoined with, because when you hear it, everyone will be harmed. So it's not clear at all, right? Wait, Mark, let us say it, she's got the mic.
Sorry. But it suggests that it's not clear whether it's the producer of the sound or
Exactly.
the recipient of the sound.
Yeah, I agree. So now you need to figure that out.
Okay.
Okay, may I try a meaning?
Of what?
To,
Of what?
To give a
Conjoined with
meaning of that which
consciousness?
is conjoined with consciousness, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a sound conjoined with consciousness if it is, if consciousness is kind of, if the cause is in the same continuum, if it's like if consciousness is a substantial cause of the sound, something like that. No. No. Okay.
Is a substantial cause of the sound.
Okay. No. It doesn't.
They're within the same substantial continuum then, right?
The sound would have to be in the same.
Sound would have to be in the same substantial continuum as consciousness because it's a substantial cause. That's a definition, right? That which the primary producer of its substantial effect within its own substantial continuum. Just try, it's fine. You're just trying to figure it out. It's not like it's hard. So either it's from the producer's element side or it's from the recipient side. That's not clear. What you've written is what it says. That's not clear. Lute suddenly is not conjoined with consciousness. The other one is conjoined with guitar, I think, was it? The drum was conjoined with consciousness. Why do they have this bias towards certain instruments over others? None of this is really clear, right? So you can try and figure it out. Yeah? I've given you all your material, all of you. Now you please work on it. Okay? Today we have to do something really nice. Yeah?
How many definitions will we have in the next 2 months?
Lots.
Okay,
Lots.
so we will go ahead like this all the time?
Martin, whenever you study Dharma in traditional settings, you go like this not only for 2 months, you go like this for 16 years. It's always like this.
Always new definitions.
Yeah, but the definitions at some point are not like so numerous, but they get more and more meaningful. But everything has a definition. Because if you have to discuss what bodhicitta is and you can't define it, then it'll mean something different for everybody. So when the Buddha says develop bodhicitta, you will say I like certain people, that's bodhicitta. Someone will say I like only animals, that's bodhicitta. Someone else will say I only like humans, that's bodhicitta. So bodhicitta has a definition. Everything has a definition. Emptiness has a definition. Otherwise, how do you know you've understood what emptiness is? You'll be like, oh, I've understood that things are not solid, they have space inside. That is definition. That is emptiness. And so then you sit there and you cultivate the fact that things are made up 80% of space. That for you is then emptiness. So you're meditating emptiness in your own mind. Always it's studied like this. But it traditionally always has been studied like this. Even when you study things like Tantra, there's a definition for each state, for each part, for the first initiation, for the second initiation. Everything has to be explained and communicated. So you don't have to get worried about definitions as in you just have to memorize them. It's a very helpful thing because it at least helps you understand what they are saying when they are saying something. Right now you're memorizing them more because you're getting material to debate on. But later if you're familiar with this, you'll be desperate to know what a definition is. Because if someone comes and tells you, oh yes, you have to practice the 9 stages of calm abiding, which is that drawing over there. How do you know which is the difference between the 7th and the 8th? How do you know? How do you check for yourself whether what you're doing is going in that direction? What's the difference between anger and wrath? And then all of us say, oh, wrathful is not tainted by affliction, so we'll all be very wrathful in our behavior with other people. And then you might be getting angry. You don't know the difference. So it's always like this. Yeah? It's just, this is getting used to it. There won't be like 15 a day, not like that. But there'll always be definition.
Okay, I was just thinking about to get the stable ground on my feet.
Yeah, so I think this, to get the stable ground, slowly start getting used to the idea of remembering definitions and then checking them. That's what it is. As you move ahead, it's going to be learn definitions. So when it says, you know how that format is, refuting others' positions, positing our position, and replying to objections? If you're doing something like ignorance, just hypothetically, refuting others' definitions of ignorance, establishing our definition of ignorance, replying to objections of other people to our definition of ignorance. It's going to be like that. Definition of consciousness, refuting others' positions of consciousness, establishing our definition of consciousness, replying to objections. That's the structure of all these texts. All these, especially when you're studying Buddhism, that's how they're structured, the texts. Yeah?
And also we can learn the definitions through debating.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're doing it. No, that's why we keep doing this and we keep asking to have the other person repeat the definitions. It just becomes an exercise in repetition and then you remember them. Yeah? Don't be scared of definitions. You better make friends with definitions fast. Yeah? Especially Tariq. Tariq has some nice definitions. And they're very meaningful. They're long, but each part is very important. Tariq is reasoning. Tariq is how do you prove whether a syllogism is valid or not. Right now, we're just saying this is a syllogism. And we're saying, for now, we're just learning to say reason or establish no pervasion, right? We're not looking at more detail. When you do Tariq, there's like the criteria for a reason or a syllogism to be valid is Tariq. So Tariq is basically what reason is a valid reason and what reason is a false of invalid reason. That's Tariq. Tak means hetu. Yeah? So Tariq is a explanation of hetu. No, Tak is linga. Sorry, Tensik is hetu. Is that okay? Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. Today, yes.
I was just wondering whether we don't have to discuss it now, but just expressing the wish that maybe after December until the second module, whether there will be some online format.
We have to. Get. I think this is something we've also been wondering because then you come back like clean slates next year. Oh God. Yeah. So that's a bit of a concern. Okay. Page 166. Let's do one and many. And just straight off, I have to tell you that we're not going to use the word many because it doesn't really work sometimes. Yeah. 166, chapter, I don't know, other presentations of ascertainable objects, and then there's that subcategory of one and many. Yeah? Can you do me a favor? Yeah, just cut out many and put different. Because many is just really going to confuse you. Then I'll give you the whole satisfying explanation of why you can use many, but just for now it's different. In fact, if you see, it says identity or difference. Yeah? To present one or many, and then in the brackets it says or identity and difference. So you can use the word different instead of many. Okay? That's for today. All right? This is, oh God, I can't even stress how important this is. Without this, trying to understand Madhyamaka, I can say with 99, I'm not saying to realize emptiness, that's none of my business. That I can't say what you need, that's not something that's my field of view. But if you want to study what the Madhyamaka texts speak of, if you want to study them, and you don't know these terms, and you don't know how to navigate them, and you can't make sense of them, you're really shooting in the dark. Yeah? Because the Madhyamaka terminology is this. It is not one with the parts, not different from the parts, not possessing the parts, possessor, etc. It's just always this. Okay? So if you don't get familiar with this, it's very hard to understand Madhyamaka. And if you do get familiar with this, then the joy of studying Madhyamaka is huge because you're like, that's what it means. Right now, your one is like same thing, are they the same thing, are they different? Different for you is like, are they unrelated? Then you'll do Madhyamaka and they'll say, oh, the body and the aggregates are not different because they're not unrelated. So then you'll say, oh, okay, different means unrelated. And you don't understand all the steps that are there to lead to those conclusions or those consequences. Yeah? So this, especially this section, is very, very important. Yeah? Okay. To present the topic of one and many, so from now, one and different, in general, all knowable objects are either one or different. The definition of being one is a phenomena that is not diverse or multiple. So the definition of one is phenomena that is not diverse. Okay? Or multiple. Let's just say or not diverse. They're different words, right? Okay? So let's just go with, what is the definition of one? So what is the definition of one with pot? Phenomena that is not diverse from pot. Right? Simple? Or diverse with pot? Do you prefer with? I think from is better, no? From, right? Yeah? So the definiendum is one with pot. The definition is diverse from pot. Right? Just remember that. Yeah? And if you have problems, you can ask Mark to explain to you why linguistically one is more accurate than the other not. Repeat what? Yeah, the definiendum will be one with pot and it will have as a definition phenomena that is not diverse from pot. Definition of one with pot. Right? Because one is a definiendum. Take one, it follows it as definiendum. It follows it has the three properties of an imputed existent. It follows it has a definition. What is the definition of one? Phenomena that is not diverse. Take phenomena that is not diverse. It follows it as a definition of one. Therefore take one with pot. It follows it as a definiendum. It follows it has a definition. What is the definition of one with pot? Phenomena that is not diverse from pot. Just that, simple, okay? Is that clear? Let's just do a round. Clear? 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 Am I clear? Clear? Yeah? Clear? Okay. Huh? What's the difference? I didn't get the difference. No, not you're saying. Yeah, I think you have to say is in English, otherwise it doesn't make sense, no? Phenomena that is not diverse. I think you have to say, yeah. Okay? Not diverse refers to its mode of appearance to conception. Again, why they have translated this as conception, I don't really know. Conceptual mind. Let's just standardize it, okay? Yeah? It says conception in the text. Does it say conception in your text as well? Yeah, that's conceptual mind. It's a little misleading with just conception. You might think of birth or something. I have no idea. Right? Isn't it? It's slightly, yeah. What did you say? Oh, yeah. No, that's not what that means for sure. Okay. Yeah. And the mode of delineation in language. Do you know what delineation means? Expressed in languages. That's you can also translate it as. And the way it is expressed in language. Just that. Yeah? The way it's expressed. So, diverse or not diverse is not to be understood. So that's why we said it's very technical, right? One, when two things are one or two things are not diverse, it is to be understood in terms of how they are perceived by the conceptual mind and in terms of how they are expressed by words. That's what it means. Okay? That's all it means. Is that okay? So, if you're saying two things are one or two things are not diverse, the diversity that they have is to be checked from how they appear to a conceptual mind. So, its mode of appearance to a conceptual mind or to its mode of how it is expressed by words. Is that clear? That's all it means. Now we have to get into it. Yeah? Don't get technical yet. Yeah? Okay. Okay. For example, the word pillar does not express anything else, such as a vase that is distinct from a pillar. So too, no other object, such as a vase that is distinct from a pillar, yeah, appear to the conception or the conceptual mind apprehending a pillar. Hence, pillar is posited as being one instead of many. A pillar is one or different. A pillar is one because when you think of it, all you think of, all that appears to your mind is just a pillar, nothing else. And when I communicate pillar to you, I'm only communicating pillar. I'm not communicating this pillar, that pillar, table, chair, cow, tree, horse. All I'm saying is pillar. Yeah? Now whether if you think I'm talking about this pillar, that's an error on your part because all I said was pillar. So the term pillar, the word pillar, expresses only pillar, nothing else. Yeah? Similarly, when you think pillar, you are not thinking of anything else, only pillar. Yeah. 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 Good. No, you are. Now, this is the thing where it's going to get tricky. When you think fire, does the word fire express hot and burning? It doesn't. Because if the word fire expressed hot and burning, anyone who didn't know what fire meant would also have to understand hot and burning. Similarly, does hot and burning express fire? No. Because if you don't know what fire is and you hear hot and burning, you'll only understand hot and burning. That doesn't go to say that when you've made the connection between these two, they appear together. But the word in itself doesn't express it. The concept in itself doesn't think of it. It is exactly the same as what you said, but hot and burning is one. You're not thinking of its Exactly. No, hot and burning is one. Fire and hot and burning is not one. Fire is not one with hot and burning. It's just one with itself. Everything that exists is just one with itself. No, even when I say definition of fire, you don't think hot and burning, you only think definition of fire. Yeah? Okay. Anyways, this is the headache, so it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Yeah. It has to be. You don't. The text doesn't even say it. It's just this is just experience. You just know that that's the case. If it has to be the same one. The text doesn't even need to discuss it. It does. So the first chapter is all this. The first chapter of the Pramana Vartika is dealing with this. But of course it is. Cross-culturally, then you're not communicating correctly the meaning. So that's why that's why we're saying learn definitions. Because if we're having different terms, we've already said, right, in the beginning, where when you translate anything into a culture that already has meanings or reference for certain words, you first have to do an unlearning. So right now, if you're talking to a scientific community and you say consciousness, they're definitely not thinking of the same thing. So His Holiness, when he had a meeting last time, I remember there was a Mind and Life at the temple. There was a Mind and Life about consciousness. And after 3 days of this meeting, His Holiness said, wait a minute. Like, are we even saying the same thing? We've been talking about consciousness, you're talking about are we talking about the same thing? If we're not even sure of what the same thing is, then what's the point? And then he handed out this book to all the participants. He said, because if you want to know what the discussion, if you're doing a Mind and Life dialogue between two traditions, the monks are really trying hard to get prepared in science, right? They're learning it in the monasteries. It's part of their even exams to do geshes now they have to learn science, I think, right? So if they're learning the terminology so that they can communicate, and then you're on your end talking about cognitive processes and you use consciousness and you're thinking something else, it's not dialogue. So cross-culturally, if you say, like, I don't know, I can't think of any examples, but like, yeah, cross-culturally, if you see a cat cross the road, it makes no difference to you. When I was driving this morning, I was like, hang on. Because in India, if a cat crosses the road, you're like, wait a minute, bad luck. You wait for someone else to cross and get the bad luck instead of you. Especially if it's black. But my thing is, that thing, that content, it has different meanings culturally. So when I say the cat is crossing the road, for us Indians, we're like, no, not good. Outside, they're like, how does it even matter? So you can't have communication if you're adding your baggage to a term, or if you've not clarified with the other person what the content of that term is. That's why you have the definitions. Yeah, that's precisely why you have the definitions. So when you're thinking impermanent and I'm thinking impermanent, we have to be thinking of the same thing. Otherwise, we can't communicate. So then you ask them, what do you mean? You always ask them, what do you mean? Yeah. Yeah. Within here, that's why, yeah, within here we don't need to. That's why I was saying, so when you're asking conjoined with consciousness, you had one version, someone else had another version. Which one is accurate, we don't know. So we're trying to check.
You're saying when I say impermanent and I have the meaning, it's one with the meaning?
The impermanent that appears to you has to be exactly the same with the impermanent that appears to me if we are thinking both of impermanent. Otherwise, how are you communicating? Tell me. If I say, let's go and have lunch, and you've thought, okay, let's say today, Sangmola decides that, no, it can't. It just can't. There's no communication will happen. It's not possible.
But we can't be possible, like if I talk about this computer, we can't talk about the same thing, because you see this, and I see this.
That's another issue. But if we're not talking about the same, okay, let's go like this. If you see that, and that is the meaning of computer, and I see this is the meaning of computer, then when I came and sat on your side, I'll have to say I don't see the computer anymore. Because I'm not seeing what I was seeing before. That's why I'm saying this is important. Later for Madhyamika, this is extremely important. Yeah? Is this clear? This is really tricky. You have to see you're saying the same thing. There's no other alternative. That's why there's an, okay, now I'll give you an example of an interesting thing. The definition, what's that flap under a cow called? It has a name. Dewlap, yeah? Dewlap, yeah? The definition of a cow in India is that which has a hump and a dewlap. Then the Jersey cows came from America and were like, hold on, they don't have humps. So it's not the definition of cow. An Indian who was sitting in India and didn't know what a Jersey cow was before they brought cows in for excessive milk production, we just thought cows by definition have humps. And then when Jersey cows came in, we had to reconsider and reevaluate the definition of cow. So if you look in the Indian texts, the definition of cow is still that being that has a hump and a dewlap. But that's not the definition of cow. So when I was thinking cow, and someone in like Switzerland was thinking of those big, beautiful cows with those Swiss cows, the meaning generality of cow, or what we were referring to, was not cow. It wasn't. Yours was tied to your specific entity, and mine was mine. Neither of them were thinking of cow because they were thinking of a restricted class cow. Right? Even biologically, when you're trying to identify a genus, you think that these are the defining characteristics of a certain group of either flora or fauna. Then suddenly you discover that there are things that have further traits that can still fit within that category, so you have to extend the category of that specific type. Right? So that identification of a type, because when you're seeing a cockroach and you're seeing a lizard, if you can classify them within the same category, it's clearly not the characteristics of either the cockroach or the lizard. Or you take a lizard and a snake and you say these are both reptiles, right? How are you saying they're both reptiles if they have such different features? Snakes don't have legs. Lizards do have legs. Snakes are venomous. Lizards are not venomous. So, for someone who is a botanist or someone who is studying amphibians, what are they called? I don't know. Reptilians? No, those are those people who control the world are the reptilians. Huh? Zoologists, right? For them to be able to classify a certain thing as a reptile, they have to have a very clear idea of the defining characteristics of a reptile. That cannot have the image or the appearance or the referent of lizard in it, snake in it, none of that. Komodo dragons, it can't have any of those things. It's not possible. Otherwise, they'd look at a snake and not be able to think amphibian. It's not possible. Reptile, sorry. Reptile. Again, we've not done those terms, so we're not even looking at them right now. We're just saying when you think reptile, you cannot have the appearance of a snake. You cannot have the appearance of a lizard. When you're thinking impermanent, you can't have the image of a pot. You can't have the image of anything other than impermanent. Doesn't exist. Otherwise, you're not communicating impermanent. You are thinking something and you're saying something else. For example, and this happens a lot. If I need a pen, so this happens in India all the time. If you go to a government office, all the time, it's standard practice. They'll be like, sir, please bring passport photograph. And you're like, sure. So you go outside, you sit in front of a red curtain, and they'll say, and they'll take a picture and you go and they say, sir, please passport photograph, not smiling. And you're like, okay, wait. So you go back, you take another photo and you're not smiling. Then you go back and you give the passport photograph in front of a red curtain without a smile, and they'll be like, no, sir, in a passport photograph, you need a white background. So in their head, they're saying passport photograph. I am fulfilling the definition of what they're asking for, but it's not working out. So I've made 15 trips to give a passport photograph. Similarly, sir, you have to sign on this document. Sir, no, signature has to be blue, right? So that's not a correct communication. Isn't that the case? No, you have to sign with a blue pen. And you're like, but why can't you say this before? So don't say sign with a blue pen. So when I thought signature, I thought correctly when I signed with a black pen, for example. Or when I went and took a smiling passport photograph behind like a blue curtain, I was okay. Sometimes I'll ask you for a passport photograph with a sky blue background. Have you ever had to do this? I had to do this. This is really weird. Sky blue. For one thing, you need a sky blue background. No, in India only. Yeah, for something. I don't remember what it was. So my point is, when you're thinking or you're communicating, the sign or the proof that you are not dealing with detail is this. Because if they said just do a signature, I did the right thing. They weren't communicating well, right? That's what it is. So see, getting lost in cultural things, like that. Yeah. I've done the right thing. You should have said, I need a passport photo with a neutral. So when will communication be correct? When what you are thinking is exactly what I get. Only then communication is complete. No, it's not my point. This is the point of what the text is saying. This is the point of what one and different means. One means, here, read it. Okay, so read the text. Don't make it sound like it's my thing. This is what Buddhists mean when they say one. Okay, yeah, say. That's not exactly. So then, there is an absolute thing. Signature means you sign. A signature means you sign. So when you say I need a blue signature, the fact that you can say blue signature differently from signature means that signature is not qualified by the color that it has. A signature in an Indian office document has a different definition from signature. But she should have said it. That's what you'll, but normally also you'll go and say, why didn't you say the whole thing? It wasn't. She just said signature. They get lazy. It's not. How do you know that it's partial communication? Because you said something and then later she'll say, no, sir, it had to be a blue signature. No, it's not your definition of signature is different. There is a common shared definition of signature by everyone. That's what allows for communication. That is whether you agree or not is another issue altogether. That's another issue. She's adding a characteristic which is beyond the accepted meaning of signature. Right? No, that's another issue. That is, okay, those are all the issues that we deal with. But the point is, when you're saying signature, you're not thinking of what kind of signature. Is it nice? Is it big? Is it small? Is it blue? Is it red? Is it black? Is it green? You're thinking of a signature. That's it. No, the definition of signature, I don't know what it, we'll have to come up with one. When you look at the dictionary, I don't know what the definition of signature is. Yeah. Did you remember reading that thing yesterday? The presentations of subject and predicate, difference, non-difference, and the like, these exist without analysis into reality and in accordance with conventions of the world. So in accordance with this convention alone, everything formulated, thesis, proof, and so on, these were constructed by the learned ones to help lead to the ultimate truth. These are norms. 162, when we're talking about unconditioned things, they are norms. That's why you can communicate them. Now that is why I was saying that view is extremely harmful to Madhyamaka. It's extremely harmful to Madhyamaka because then you start feeling like a floozy version of conventions can float in and out and they can be anything. So conventions are not fluid. Conventions work in a certain way. The convention of water is not fluid. If you see a mirage, that doesn't work as the convention of water. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So just get used to this terminology and then do the debates and then see what comes up, right? Okay? But certain things, just be careful from now of not trying to just jump into them right away. Okay? Wait, just wait. Yeah. No, but they're saying even linguistically you can say different things. It's okay. I know that you're going to have all of these questions. It's natural. We know this. Right? But I'm just saying, read what it says, try and make sense of it. If it makes sense, excellent. If it doesn't make sense, prove it wrong. As with everything, right? So just read what it says, okay? Hence, pillar is posited as being one as opposed to many. The same is true of the way in which things such as earth, water, fire, wind, and so on are posited as being one. As for something like the horns of a rabbit, although it is expressed individually in words and it appears individually to conception, it is not one since it is not a phenomenon. So in the definition of phenomenon, in the definition of one, you have phenomena that is not diverse. Right? Yeah? So horns of a rabbit appears as a single thing, but it's not one because it's not a phenomenon. Okay? Many or different is phenomena that are diverse. Yeah? So what's the definition of different from pot? Right? Take phenomena that is diverse from pot. It follows it is the definition of different from pot. Right? Take silver pot. It follows it is different from pot. Yeah? Take golden pot. It follows it is different from pot. Except, take golden pot and pot. It follows they're different. Yes? Is this clear? Yeah? Take blue signature and signature, it follows they're different. Take black signature and signature, it follows they're different. Right? Is that okay? Yeah. No, everything is connected with the four possibilities, but not all these things are necessarily four possibilities. This is more with universals and instances, which is the next section, with signature and blue signature, okay? Yeah?
Just a small question. Should we say that different is defined as phenomena that are diverse or phenomenon which is diverse?
It depends what you're checking, no? Because if you're checking two things like pot and pillar, then you have to say they are diverse. If you're saying pot is different from pillar, then you have to say it is different from pillar. You can't say it are different from pillar. So it'll depend on what you're checking. So if we say put this, then we'll get stuck on trapped in saying are or as opposed to if, is. Okay? Here. Examples of this include, for instance, the pair earth and water, and the pair being produced and being impermanent, right? So earth and water are different. Earth is different from water. Water is different from earth, yeah? Although the pair being produced and being impermanent are the same or one in terms of their essential nature, now there's the other terms that are coming in, which you also need to get familiar with. Are the same in terms of their essential nature or reality, they are posited as diverse since the object universals of both. Now, what are they translating as object universals? One sec, let me see. Object universals is what they're translating as meaning generality, yeah. Okay? Object universals of both appear separately to the conceptual mind and they are understood separately through their different proper nouns. Therefore, in general, since one and different need to be defined from the perspective of thought and language, they must be understood as referring to one and different in terms of their conceptual isolates. This is where, we're not into it this time, but this is where the whole isolate issue stems from. That whole topic comes out of this, okay? So let's just do one right now so that you have an example. What is the relation between one with pot and pot? Are they mutually inclusive, exclusive, 3 possibilities, 4 possibilities? Exclusive, inclusive, 3 possibilities. We've got them all so far. We have a 4 that's lacking. Does anyone have 4? 3? Inclusive mark. 3. Inclusive. Inclusive. 1 with pot and pot, pot. 3. Olga. 3. Meenakshi ji. Sunbathers. What is it? 1 with pot and pot. Are they inclusive, exclusive? 4? Good, we got them all now. We got all the whole spectrum. Great. Okay. If it is 1 with pot, it follows it is necessarily not pot. For example, careful, what did you say? What did you say? 1 with pot. Anyone else? If it is 1 with pot, it follows it is necessarily not pot. For example, 1 with pot. Any other answers? Are we all going with 1 with pot? Pot. Anyone else? First question, still first question. Someone said pot and you said one with pot, okay? If it is one with pot, it follows it is necessarily pot. If it is pot, it follows it is necessarily one with pot. For example, a blue pot, golden pot. This one you all got. If it is not one with pot, it follows it is necessarily pot. For example, two with pot. Okay. Let's do the first one, okay? Yeah.
Has to be the general idea, but then when we give that answer, then we can give specifics. That's why I didn't say three possibilities.
Let's just run through them to just see what comes up, okay? This is tricky. It's tricky. It is tricky, okay? Take pot. It follows it is one with pot. Take pot. It follows it fulfills the definition of being one with pot. What is the definition of being one with pot? Take pot. It follows it is a phenomena that is not diverse from pot. It follows that linguistically and conceptually, when you think of pot, you are thinking only of pot. Correct? So it is one with pot. Take pot. It follows it is pot. Now yours. Take one with pot. It follows it is one with pot. Okay? Yeah? That's not an example, yeah? Take one with pot. It follows it is one with pot. The ones who feel like saying except but you're nervous because some have said why and they make sense seemingly, please don't be nervous. Does anyone feel that one with pot is one with pot? Someone please say something. Does anyone, okay, then we do a round. Okay, is one with pot according to you? Okay, out. Is one with pot one with pot? Why? Why is it not one with pot?
I don't know why.
Huh? It is one with pot? Let's go like that. Just go with it, okay? If one with pot is one with pot, then take one with pot. It fulfills the definition of one with pot. Take one with pot. It fulfills the definition of one with pot. Fulfills the definition. Phenomena that is not diverse from pot. Okay, so take one with pot. It appears to the conceptual mind, and the words that says pot are both also thinking of and transmitting one with pot. When you think pot, or when you say pot, are you saying one with pot? Are you saying one? Yes, no. Just try to a yes, no. When you think pot, you're thinking one with pot? Yeah? So when I say pot, it follows that everyone in the universe who understands what I'm saying understands one with pot? It follows that people who have never heard of the definition of one with pot know what one with pot is? Because they know what pot is. If you know what a pot is, do you have to know what one with pot is? You have to? Take all of you 25 minutes ago. Did you know what one with pot is? Did you know what one with pot was 25 minutes ago? You knew what pot was 25 minutes ago? So for all the years that you've been talking about and thinking of pots, were you also thinking of one with pot? No, so take one with pot. It follows it is not something that appears to the mind that is thinking pot. It follows it is not one with pot. It's different from pot, right? Take one with pot. It follows it is different from pot. Yeah? Is that okay? Yeah? Kayla, is that fine? When you're thinking one with pot, you're not thinking of pot. right? Or when you're thinking of pot, you're not thinking of one with pot. No, so if you're not, then the definition of one with pot is something that is not diverse from pot, which means conceptually and linguistically, when you express pot or when you think pot, everything that is part of that thought or is included in the referent of that word is one with pot. Or the only thing that can be the referent of that word is pot, nothing else. So you're not thinking one with pot, you're not transmitting one with pot, so the only thing that can be one with pot is one with pot. Now the tricky thing is the way you say it. Take pot, it follows it is one with pot. Take one with pot, it follows it is pot. Take one with pot, it follows it is one with pot. Take one with pot, it follows it is one with pot. Take one with pot, it follows it is not one with pot, because it is different from pot. Take one with pot, it follows it is not different from pot. It follows it is different from pot. Now, can you take it with a sense of lightness? This is now the 8th time, at least counting, where we've done a new subject and you're all looking at me confused and tired and there's total pin drop silence because it's hard. This is going to happen today. Tomorrow again you'll feel confused. Day after everything will, no, Monday. Tuesday you'll feel happy with this. So you'll have an unpleasant weekend. This is not going to be fun. You're not going to like it. You're going to start asking around. It's natural, right? One with pot is the next hard subject in Dudra. Then the next hard one is universals and instances. It's easier once you've done one with one and different. Then the next hard one is contradictory. The next hard one is related. And then we're done. So you have 1, 2, 4 hard subjects to go through. Yeah? Well, that's what, you're making it look very hard. Everyone's like, oh my God, this is really hard. It's hard, yeah. It is hard. I'll admit it's hard. But it's not hard as a concept, Jay. The thing is, you get it as a concept. It's very hard also when you say it and to hear it. It sounds very weird. It sounds strange. So it's not so much that it's hard to understand, it's hard to reply and try and form relations with it. In the idea itself, it's not so hard. Yeah? So just requires a little bit of familiarity and training. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only thing, yeah. 3:30, you can ask me this question right now. Let me give you the next part. Okay, 1 sec. Yeah. Okay, here. Then just this paragraph, and then we'll do the next ones later because those are the other ways. Okay. Buddhist epistemological texts speak of different senses of being. Speak of different senses. Different senses here means different ways of being one or many. Different. For instance, there's a sense of being one or different in terms of their entity or essential nature. Similarly, there is the sense of being one or many in terms of their substance. Then there is the sense of being one or many with respect to their conceptual isolates. One and different can be terminologically spoken of in different ways. You can speak of one entity, different entities. You can speak of one substance, different substances. And you can speak of just one and different. So when you will come across an unqualified one and different, it's referring to this, the isolates, the third one. Okay? No, terminological divisions, Abhishek, because sometimes in the texts they have usages which are very strictly technical, which is one and different. But then because in normal language, you can also speak of them differently. Sometimes they merge or they kind of bring those normal ways of referring to things as well. So we do say you and your thoughts are the same thing, sometimes we do say that. So because they are one, sometimes they're referred to as one, but that is one entity or one substance. When you just find an unqualified one in the literature that we're reading, 99% times it's going to be one of the definition, phenomena that is not diverse, where the diversity is to be seen from how it appears to your conceptual mind and the reference of words. Yeah? Okay? So till here we'll stop. Then the remaining section is what is the other way of being one entity, etc., etc. Okay? So here it talks about same entity, and so those are now the terminological divisions. For now, we just stop here and you do a few relations. It's tricky, so let's just try and get into the habit of them, right? Here, so you can do what is the relation between one with pot, yeah, one with pot and pot, which we've done, but you can try it again. Then what is the relation between different from pot and pot? Yeah. And then what is the relation between one with pot and one with functional thing? Yeah. Then one with pot and different from functional thing. Yeah, I'll say them all again. One with pot and pot. First one. Second one, different from pot, pot. Third one with pot, one with functional thing. Fourth one with pot, different from functional thing. Then one with pot, one with silver pot. Then one with pot, different from silver pot. Okay? Yeah? So far? And then the last one, this is, yeah, just do two more. One with pot, different from pillar. Yeah? And then the last one, when you're feeling comfortable, one with pot and one with pot. One with pot and one with pot. Like, you know, cause of seed, like that. One with pot and different from silver pot. They are very counterintuitive. I'll give you that. Yeah? Okay. And then in the afternoon, we'll do a little bit more practice with these so that you can take them forward. But in the afternoon, now in the afternoon, I'll answer. If you have debates, please go ahead and do them. Yeah?